Hello, my name is Arleth and my partner is Esther Health. Here's our presentation for our class CAD 450. Our presentation is on the implementation of racial awareness for children. Why is it important? What is there to know about racial awareness? Well, our diversity is what makes us unique, strong, and vibrant. No matter what race people are or what religion or cultural beliefs they profess, in the end, we are all Americans. Unfortunately, when misunderstandings or suspicions cause people to fear others who they consider to be different, it leads to the kind of tension and friction we see happening across our country today. However, we can create a difference starting in our classrooms. Let's do our part. Here are some ways we can create change from our teaching pulpit. We can create lasting and echoing change through our students. Let's make it a better place for them.
Here are 3 issues that come up for the topic. If children aren't taught racial equality in the future, it will be more difficult for them. So many educators think children are too young to engage in discussions following race. Educators use a colorblind approach, which makes it difficult for children to understand race and racism. And so it results to children thinking that race or racism isn't important in society. Another reason could be parents won't give the best accurate information when it comes down to race. So if children ask about something, they might say, that's just how they are. Children will take this at face value and believe it to be true, making it their own bias that this is how certain people are. And so without learning about race early on, they will form racist thinking. Children will think that this is accurate information, but it's actually institutional functions leading them to it. This includes societal tendencies due to the lack of awareness. So television, news outlets, family, society could help make them form these biases.
Children notice differences in people at a really young age. Racial and identity profiling happens at about 2 to 3 years old. They become curious and aware of obvious physical disabilities and will be curious of hair colors and textures and skin colors. By the age of 5, they will be aware of ethnic identities. When children are exposed to prejudice or racism, they might deal with this fact at an early age and not understand it, making them accustomed to this. They understand the passion for fairness, so this is not learned in those early ages. Then they will have a more difficult time understanding from right or wrong in their different diverse communities. By the age of 4, children will associate whites with wealth and higher status, and race-based discrimination is already widespread when children start around elementary school.
The third issue that comes up is that children will have their own biases at an early age. So children at 5 years old are already aware of race and develop racist beliefs. Delaying in talking about racial issues in society will make it more difficult for them to change their misperceptions or racist beliefs in the future. If parents or their guardians don't talk about these issues, then children will make up their own beliefs and make sense of their own, which makes it inaccurate and detrimental for them in the future. A study was shown that white parents will use well-meaning strategies, but they come out to be ineffective outcomes and ignore realities of racism going on. So statements that they could say could mean skin color doesn't matter, we're all the same on the inside, and it's not polite to talk about it. So children will not understand the importance of race and think in the future it's okay and it shouldn't matter to them. Also, this type of attitude will correspond to future children, making it a spiral and never form any type of progressiveness. Here are some solutions and resources for the issue.
This is for adults, our teachers, our parental guardians. To begin, adults and teachers can introduce books with minorities such as people of color that can engage children's thinking with proper knowledge and history that sparks positive curiosity. Another way is in the play setting, providing more diverse toys in the communities that are gender neutral and inclusive. Pretend play is also a great way for children to make connections with real life experiences and also creates curiosity. Last but not least, the implementation in classrooms. Being inviting to the idea as educators of talking about racial awareness, creating interactive curriculum about history of culture, a yearly curriculum to talk about diversity and race and how important each one is, providing an anti-racist education. Anti-racist education provides ease to the discomfort that can arise in early childhood classrooms and individually children, reflecting on the role of race and racism and willing to embrace differences um, that challenge that challenges what will arise and the historical events around it. So creating awareness in education for children.
So going into detail about the different resources, we can first use children's literature. So assessing children's books that can be read aloud and approach topics of bias, diversity, and social justice. So an example of this could be people who are different from others or exposing bias or sharing stories of injustice. Another way could be using the news media. Using the news can be a great segue to building on top of what is already learning in the classroom. If there's justice going on, you can connect it to a book of standing up to yourself. Another one, which we talked about, is teaching anti-bias lessons, which are providing daily life lessons like bullying, name calling, or teasing. This can be an explicit lesson that can be led to lessons on identity bias and bullying that can be addressed individually and institutionally. And then pretend play, which is another one which we're talking about. So including pretend play in scenarios of such, just like using news outlets or lessons to connect the two. An example could be if a child doesn't want to play because they're a certain color or they're broken, we can use it as a valuable lesson and introduce it to the whole class.
Words of encouragement. As educators, we can come together to properly educate and equip our students for the real world. Within our classrooms as well, a child can be well informed through engaging curriculums at school. This can benefit our children in being more empathetic with those around them and their overall senses of the world.
Here are some resources. So some resources that we found were videos or books. So the first video is titled Talking to Young Children About Race and Racism. It's a kid-friendly video that talks about race and racism and the importance on it. And then going on to another video, Raising Race-Conscious Children, How to Talk to Kids About Race and Racism. These are just some of the best approaches for families to talk to children about equity and racial awareness. Some books that we found are called I Am Enough by Grace Myers, and it's basically about loving who you are, respecting others, and being kind to others. And then another one that you can introduce into classrooms is called Our Class is a Family by Shannon Olson. It talks about communities in classrooms, creating a home away from home where students feel safe, included, and loved. And then children can learn it is safe to be themselves, to make mistakes, and to be a friend to others.
With that, we close, and Esther and I would like to thank you for listening and taking the time to watch our presentation. Once again, we are unique and we all bring something to the table. Let's not allow media to create harmful narratives about our communities, which will later then influence our children at such a young age. We are all one nation, and our goal should be to make our world a better place for future generations. As educators, we can create a chain reaction to benefit not only our students, but our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Here are our resources.